Hey everyone, welcome back to Sweet Yellow House. It's time for our Friday craft. But before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that we do have a Patreon account if you feel inclined to go help us out over there. And we have a lot of extra content. So let's get started. We are going to start out with making some of these really cute frames. I have these paper flowers that I believe I got in the wedding section at either Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I can't remember which one. But we're going to be making these flowers today, and I'm going to show you how to make a couple of different ones, some that are really simple and some that are a little bit more elaborate, and it's just really about layering. And once you layer them, depending on the amount of petals, you're going to get different looks. So I'm going to get my glue gun out, and I'm going to start off making this one, and it's simply just folding that petal, those petals in half to make it look like it's like a bud, a flower bud just starting. So I'm just putting glue in the center there and folding it in half, and it's as simple as that. So now we're going to move on to another one, and this one I believe has 3 layers, and also I'm going to show you how to put the center in there. But so I just take 3 of the flowers and I'm just going to stack those on top of each other. So what you want to do is just put a little dollop of glue, and then when you stack those, you want to make sure that you are kind of offsetting those petals so that you can see them all the way through there. So you just stack them there and you stick them, and you want to make sure that you press that center down to make sure that it lays flat. So I have these little micro beads set, and I took the gold one out, and that's what I'm going to be using today. So make sure you have a little kind of cup there to pour over so that you can catch all of those ones that are going to fall off of there, because they seem to kind of bounce out everywhere, as you'll see here in just a second. So you're going to take your glue gun and you're going to make a little, I don't know, like a little bubble. You're going to make sure that when you pull up on that, that you're pulling straight up and you're not dragging it out, so that you don't have, you know, it's not lopsided. It's just basically going to look like a little glue bubble. So, and then you want to pour those beads on top of there. So and now I'm going to show you this next one, and this one, the petals are a little bit shaped, not too much, but, and so I just drag it along my thumbnail and just kind of pull up on that, and you can see that it just kind of shapes it, gives it a little bit more dimension. And you can also use a end of a paintbrush or something like that, and I just kind of loosely wrap it around and kind of pull out to give it some tension there. And so if you don't feel comfortable using your thumbnail or feel like you have that much control, so the great thing about the paintbrush end is that you can actually wrap those around and make them kind of tighter, give them more dimension, as you'll see in the next flower that we're going to do. So here we're just doing the same thing. After we get those shaped, we're going to stack them, glue them and stack them, and then we're going to put that little bubble of glue on top, and we're going to pour the beads over that again. So on this one, you see that I kind of have like beads, so I just take a little thing and just kind of like tap those in to kind of round that shape out some more. So here we're going to do a little bit more elaborate flower, and it has several layers of petals. So as I'm going through the petals and shaping them, the layers and shaping them, I'm gonna as I'm gonna get into the center of the flower, I'm going to make sure that those are have a lot more shape to them, as you'll see. So it kind of just, one is very faint, the next one has a little bit more shape, and the next one has a little bit more shape, and you'll see it's going to start to you'll see that it'll start to take a lot more shape to that. So I'm using the end of the paintbrush, and because I'm actually able to wrap that petal all the way around the end of that and give it a lot more dimension there. So I just go through and I do that. The one flower that is going to go into the center of the flower, of that whole flower, I'm really doing a tight wrap on that because I actually want it almost to look like it's closed, because it's going to be in the center. So for this one, I'm actually going to put the center in first before I stack those, because once you get them stacked for this particular flower, since there's so many layers, it's really hard to get the glue gun tip in there and get a good little glue bubble in there when you're having to kind of work around that and it closes itself in. So I just put the center in first, and you see I kind of just close it right back up, and I am then going to proceed to layer my flowers again. So you guys stay tuned to the very end of the video, because I've actually made several of these frames, and I have different versions of that at the end, and I show you how I style those all together. So here I'm just stacking, so you want to go from the least one that has the petals are curved to the most curved petals in the center, and you'll see that I'm just stacking them that way and using my little tool there to kind of press down. And you can see as you stack them and you're pressing them, you'll see the petals actually start to kind of move in on themselves and start to make that closed up center. So that's all I'm doing here. I'm just shaping as I'm going, and trying to keep those glue strings away. Those are probably the most annoyingest thing about using a glue gun. I love to use a glue gun, but sometimes that part is just so irritating. So that's all. That's what I have here, and here's a picture of all the ones that we made. And then we are going to move on to the next step. So the next step is I have this grapevine roll, I guess you would say, and I'm going to snip off a section of that. I think it was probably about 15 inches. You could probably use less. I just took off a good amount, and I'm going to separate these out because I'm not going to use them all. I'm just going to use pieces of it. I would just want to make sure and see what I'm working with here. So here's the frame that I decided to use, and I'm just going to take pieces that are really interesting to me and have good shape to them, and I'm just going to start to glue those down. I don't cut them beforehand because sometimes I just like to see where that shape is going to take me, and then I'll cut according to that. So the one thing you want to remember is that if this is going to be hanging on a wall, then don't worry about it. But if it's going to be sitting, then you want to make sure that you're cutting that bottom off so that it's able to sit and it's not kind of awkward and kind of wobbling around. So you'll see that I do that here. Like I have them kind of going past the bottom, but then what I'll do is over me doing this, I will set the frame up to make sure that it's sitting well and that I'm not going to have any problems with that later on. So I just go through and find interesting pieces and I glue those down. The thing with the Gorilla Glue is that it works. It works really well, but you can also reinforce this with the regular glue, E6000, any number of the different glues that you want to use. So I decided at the end that I wanted to put something kind of wrapping around over the top, so I added another piece over the top there. And once I got that situated and it looks good to me, and then this is the part that I'm gonna start adding my flowers to the vines that are there. So I just put that paper over there so that the light overhead wouldn't kind of glare out at you. So I had made a bunch of these petals beforehand, so I just stacked them there, and I had all the different shapes and stuff there, so I just took them and kind of put them where I thought they looked good. And that's pretty much it. It's just really about what really looks good to you, and how you know you want it to be. You could also add some leaves to this if you had, or anything like that. So I stood this up to, again, just look at it from the front, and made my alterations there. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you spending your time with me, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you so feel inclined. And please go over to my Patreon and become a patron. We really would appreciate it, and I hope you like these, and I will see you next Tuesday.
World I've been to, this is where my heart is. Oh, you know it's true. No matter where I go, I'm coming home to you. Gonna stay in this moment. Gonna lay